Really exciting to win the Winslow Coin Right Now Award. I was extremely honored and really grateful. And on a personal level, I was feeling those things because I think, like so many teachers, I put my heart and soul into teaching, and my kids really matter to me. And when I do my professional development, it is coming from the heart because I want to do the best that I can for my students. On a larger scale, it was also a huge honor because I think it's really important to spread the word about what we can do for our students with disabilities, especially students with dyslexia, in terms of helping them read and spell, just by giving them the correct kind of instruction to meet their needs. And so in my school, and hopefully more broadly, this is a way for me to continue to spread the word about what our students can do and what they can achieve when they're taught in the way that they need. My teaching is driven by my students and how much I care about my students and my relationships with them. I find the work itself to be really rewarding, and the things that go on paper at the end of the year are really nice. But day by day, the thing that makes me excited to come to work is to see my students, to like have fun with my students, to hear what's going on in their lives, to play practice games that I've created and actually just kind of hang out and have fun with them, all under the umbrella of the work we're actually doing. But those relationships are what I miss over the summer and why I do it. Before we had Learning Ally, we were dancing around the issue without even knowing like what we needed. So we were doing all kinds of things. I was, spending a lot of money on like Audible brand audiobooks to meet my students' needs. I was recording texts for teachers in other classrooms. We had like a little volunteer kind of program set up where I was like, email me any text and I will email you back a recording of it. And uh, I was doing a lot of read alouds in class. So we were trying really hard to get that grade level content, comprehension content to the students. And we knew it was important. And we knew that they were often very capable of comprehending things that they were hearing at their grade level or close to it, even if their spelling and decoding skills were lagging. So we were working really hard on it, but it was also really effortful and very time consuming. So Learning Ally has been awesome because the kids have a giant library they can choose from. It's free to them. It's easier than a library card. The teachers can loop it into their content areas. And over the years, they're getting better at understanding how to do that, which is really awesome. So it's been a great program. Yeah, that's one of the things I am most excited about with Learning Ally is that I think it has increased the understanding across everyone in the school in every content area of the capabilities of our students. So it's really kind of the missing piece that helped show people what our students could achieve. Because before it was, everything in school is very often very focused on what students can decode independently. And I was working and trying to create my own PDs to help people understand that distinction between decoding and comprehension and students' verbal comprehension and language comprehension. But that sounded very theoretical. However, when students were like able to listen to a grade level book, and what I'm thinking of is a student who listened to The Hate U Give, and she discussed it with her teachers, her other teachers, and it was clear that she'd comprehended it on a very deep level, and she had sophisticated understandings, although her reading comprehension, including her decoding, was much lower. And that was really meaningful to the teachers to see what that student could do. So just kind of on like across the school education level, I think Learning Ally has really lifted us up. And then as far as the day-to-day of how Learning Ally is being used, our reading and writing teachers are using it the most. They're using it for some students for many of their whole class texts. Social studies is using it as well for tie-ins with literature that connect to various time periods. With students, I've definitely seen that they have come up from, fifth grade, where we start at sixth grade in our middle school. Students have come up from fifth grade and they haven't quite had at least in a way that I can see, the language to talk about what they can do and what they're still working on. And so having Learning Ally as a very concrete thing that I do in class with them at least a couple of times a week Um, and often that's a new experience for them to listen to an audiobook that many times a week. Um, it gives them, by the end of the year, a very different like sense of who they are as a reader. I'll have students who come up from fifth grade, even in some extreme cases, they'll even have very negative ways of speaking about themselves and their abilities. But by the end of the year, you'll see them be able to tease out things that they're really good at and things that they're still working on. And so I think it kind of breaks the things they've struggled with into like smaller and more manageable areas where they want to grow. I would add one more thing, which is, I've had students who came uh, up as sixth graders and they listened to their first audiobook on Learning Ally. And when they finished it, they were so surprised at how fun it was to read an entire book. And, reading for them had been years of starting many books and always dropping them. And sometimes it'd been a long time since they'd finished a book and had fun reading the book all the way through. And so just to have that like first experience at the start of sixth grade is so positive. And it starts a good path for them. And often they get into a series and they have a new chance to try to feel that feeling that makes the kids around them already enjoy reading, and they get to be part of it too. Yeah, I would say that we have teachers from all content areas who are interested in students' literacy, and they view it as part of their work. So it's pretty common to have a science teacher ask, "Hey, what book is the student reading, or what are they interested in right now in their reading?" Or to have a social studies teacher um, really looking and combing through text that they're providing in class and trying to parse out where, from like kind of a literacy perspective, the content is going to be difficult because of the text they're using, and then reach out to the ELA team and ask for maybe help um, introducing that text in a way so that students can access it. So I think that's one area where Bugs really shines, is viewing like literacy as something that's done in every content area, not an extra lift for the teachers who are not ELA teachers, but something that's really part of their work and something that's has like a unique angle in each classroom. So that's something I'm really proud of here with the literacy. During remote learning, it's been really great. Students have access to a giant library, and some students have even sat and done Learning Ally with siblings.
Mm.
They've used it to connect with people in their family. It's nice that it can go on their cell phones with the app, and it's really nice that it doesn't take any service. So if they're in New York City, like riding the train, they can already have their book with them, which is fantastic. As a reward at the end of a good week, we'll do a first chapter Friday, which is I will pick any like grade level book that I think at least a couple of the kids in the class might click with, and others will maybe surprise me, hopefully. And I'll just play the first chapter of it for them, because I see that a lot of the times they don't have as much practice picking up a book, getting started with it, and knowing how to make a decision on whether they want to continue with it. So I try to do that, and a lot of times at least one kid in the class will pick that book and download it themselves and then finish it out. So it's my way of exposing them to as much as I can, and encouraging them to do the first step of opening that book and reading the first chapter, which I think is the hardest part. The biggest point is just like it has really it has helped the students because it has helped them know what they can do, and it has helped the school because it has helped the other teachers know what the students can do and have more sophisticated ways of parsing their abilities and how to help them. So that's the bottom line for us.